The Minotaur was a monster with the head of a bull and the body of a man, born from Queen Pasiphae of Crete, the wife of King Minos, after she was compelled to mate with a bull. This story began when Poseidon gifted Minos a magnificent white bull to help him affirm his power. In return, Minos was supposed to sacrifice the animal to the god as a token of gratitude. However, he refused to do so, and as punishment, Poseidon caused Queen Pasiphae to fall in love with the bull. With the assistance of Daedalus, renowned architect and inventor, she used a wooden cow model to be with it. From this union, the Minotaur was born. To imprison the beast, Daedalus constructed a complex labyrinth. Young men and women were regularly sent into it as sacrifices to appease its hunger. Eventually, the Minotaur was slain by the hero Theseus. Its true name was Asterios, meaning Lord of the Stars, hinting at its connection to the constellation Taurus. Pegasus was the immortal winged horse that emerged from the blood gushing from the neck of the Gorgon Medusa when she was beheaded by Perseus. It was Poseidon who had created it. Later, the god granted Pegasus to Bellerophon, his own son. With Athena's help, Bellerophon tamed Pegasus and rode it into battle against the fire-breathing monster Chimera. However, Bellerophon grew arrogant, attempting to ride Pegasus up to Olympus to claim immortality. The gods caused Pegasus to throw him off, leaving him disgraced on the earth. Pegasus, however, was allowed to ascend to Olympus, where he became the bearer of Zeus's thunderbolts. He was also placed among the stars as the constellation Pegasus, often appearing as a sign of spring and the storms of Greece. The ancients also believed that each strike of Pegasus's hooves could create new springs of water. The most famous were the Hippocrene spring on Mount Helicon, sacred to the Muses, and another spring at Troezen. Centaurs were half-human, half-horse beings who lived wildly in the forests and mountains of Thessaly, particularly in Magnesia. They often resided in caves, hunted wild animals for food, and used stones and clubs as weapons. Their origin traced back to the cloud goddess Nephele after she was violated by King Ixion, a cruel man. Ixion had lusted after Hera, so Zeus tricked him by creating a cloud in Hera's likeness. Believing it to be the real goddess, Ixion committed incest with the cloud, and from this union came the race of Centaurs. Zeus punished Ixion by binding him to a fiery wheel, spinning eternally in the underworld of Hades. Nephele abandoned the hybrid offspring on Mount Pelion, where they were raised by the daughters of the immortal centaur Chiron. In mythology, centaurs were once invited to the wedding of Pirithous, Chiron's brother. But when drunk, they rioted, attempting to abduct the bride and many female guests, which led to a bloody battle that nearly wiped them out. Another tribe of centaurs in western Peloponnesus also clashed with Hercules. Additionally, there were unique groups, such as bull-horned centaurs on the island of Cyprus. Legends even spoke of female centaurs, centaurides, though they appeared only in later Greek art and literature. The Lernaean Hydra was a gigantic water serpent with 9 heads, born from Typhon and Echidna, dwelling in the marshes of Lerna in Argolis in the Peloponnesus. It was said to be so venomous that even its breath could kill. Its poison was so deadly that it later played a role in the deaths of both Hercules and the centaur Chiron. Among his 12 labors, Hercules was tasked with slaying the Hydra. Yet, every time he cut off one head, 2 more grew in its place. With the help of his nephew Iolaus, Hercules cauterized the wounds with a torch, preventing the heads from regenerating. At last, only the immortal central head remained, which he severed and buried beneath a massive rock. During the battle, Hercules also crushed a giant crab beneath his foot. Later, Hera placed both the Hydra and the crab in the sky, immortalizing them as the constellations Hydra and Cancer. Another monster born of Typhon and Echidna was the Colchian dragon, a colossal serpent entrusted with guarding the golden fleece in the sacred grove of Ares. It had a long neck with countless snake-like coils, hissed with a terrifying sound, and most notably, had never known sleep. When the Argonauts came in search of the golden fleece, Medea cast a spell to lull the dragon into slumber, allowing Jason to seize the treasure. Some versions of the myth, however, claim that Jason slew the dragon. Later traditions added another detail. Upon waking and realizing the golden fleece was gone, the Colchian dragon wandered endlessly in search of it. Eventually, it encountered the Trojan hero Diomedes, who at that time possessed the golden shield of Glaucus. Mistaking the shield's gleaming light for the treasure it sought, the dragon engaged him in fierce combat. But Diomedes triumphed, killing the beast and ending its legendary journey. The dragon's teeth were later retrieved by King Aeetes, for they carried magical power. He commanded Jason to sow them in the sacred field of Ares, using a plow drawn by fire-breathing bulls. Immediately, an army of fully grown warriors, called the Spartoi, sprang from the earth. Similarly, When the hero Cadmus sowed the teeth of the Ismenian dragon at Thebes, another host of warriors arose from the soil. Cyclopes were a primordial race of giants, distinguished by the single eye set in the middle of their foreheads. They lived in caves, herded sheep, and dwelled on the island of Hypera, which the Greeks later called Sicily. Among them, Polyphemus was the most famous and powerful, and unique as the son of Poseidon, god of the sea. He was the very Cyclops who clashed with the hero Odysseus during his voyage back to Ithaca, leaving one of the most unforgettable episodes in Greek epic poetry. Beyond Polyphemus, mythology also speaks of three elder Cyclopes, Brontes, Steropes, and Arges, embodiments of thunder, lightning, and bright flash. Despite their immense power, they were imprisoned by their father, Uranus, the sky god, deep beneath the earth alongside the Hecatonchyres, giants with 100 hands and 50 heads. Enraged by the torment of her children, Gaia spurred the Titans to overthrow Uranus. Though the rebellion succeeded, the Cyclopes remained trapped in the abyss. Only when Zeus and his brothers, Poseidon and Hades, rose up against Cronus and the Titans were the Cyclopes finally freed. In gratitude, they became loyal allies of the gods. With their legendary craftsmanship, they forged divine weapons of immense power. Zeus received the thunderbolt, Poseidon the trident that could stir the seas and summon storms, and Hades the helm of darkness that rendered him invisible. Some traditions even say the Cyclopes worked in the forge of Hephaestus, the Olympian smith god. The Griffon was a creature with the head and wings of an eagle and the body of a lion, once believed to guard the rich gold mines of Scythia in northeastern Europe. Their neighbors, the one-eyed Arimaspians, often fought the Griffons in attempts to seize the gold. Depictions of Griffons became a recurring motif in ancient Greek art and later appeared in medieval heraldry as a symbol of power and vigilance. The phoenix was a legendary bird with brilliant red and golden plumage shining like the sun. It was believed to live for 500 years, feeding on rare Arabian spices and fragrant incense. At the end of its life, it would ignite in flames, and from its ashes, a new phoenix would arise. This mythical bird was sometimes associated with Hermes and often carved into ancient temples. With its eternal cycle of death and rebirth, the phoenix became a symbol of the sun, setting each day and rising again, as well as an everlasting emblem of life, death, and resurrection in nature. The Sphinx was a female monster in Greek mythology, depicted with the body of a lion, the head and chest of a woman, and the wings of an eagle. Some traditions even describe it with a fearsome serpent's tail. As for its origin, some accounts claim the Sphinx was the offspring of Chimera and Orthrus, while others say it was born from the monstrous pair Typhon and Echidna. The gods sent the Sphinx to the city of Thebes as punishment for an ancient sin. It spread terror by blocking the path of the young, posing deadly riddles and devouring anyone unable to answer. In Sophocles' tragedy, the Sphinx is famed for its riddle: what creature walks on 4 legs in the morning, 2 legs at noon, and 3 legs in the evening? Those who failed to solve it were strangled to death. From this cruel act came its name, Sphinx, meaning the strangler. Thebes was gripped with fear until King Creon, then acting as regent, offered the throne to whoever could rid the city of this plague. Oedipus stepped forward to accept the challenge. He solved the riddle, declaring the answer to be man. As a child, he crawls on all 4s. As an adult, he walks on 2 legs, and in old age, he leans on a cane, thus 3 legs. Despairing at her defeat, the Sphinx hurled herself from a cliff, ending Thebes' nightmare. Yet this victory marked the beginning of Oedipus' own tragic fate, unknowingly killing his father and marrying his mother, becoming one of the most renowned tragedies in Greek literature. The Sphinx lived not only in myth but also in ancient art. Statues of the Sphinx were often erected on the graves of those who died young, symbolizing the dark hand of fate. On painted vases, the Sphinx appeared alongside lions and other strange creatures, forming vivid and mysterious processions, at once terrifying and awe-inspiring. The Hippocampus was a hybrid creature of horse and fish. It had the head and forebody of a horse, but its long, coiling tail shimmered with glittering scales like that of a fish. In ancient mosaics, it was often shown with a flowing horse's mane and graceful fins, embodying both strength and elegance. The ancients even believed the hippocampus was the adult form of the tiny seahorses we know today. They were thought to serve as the steeds of the Nereids, sea nymphs, and also pulled the chariot of Poseidon. Homer praised the sea god as the lord of horses, whose bronze hooves could stir the waves and shake the earth. In some legends, one of Poseidon's seahorses was said to leap from the waves and gallop across the Libyan desert, leaving behind an image of the ocean's boundless power. The unicorn was a mythical horse originating from the east, celebrated for its pure beauty, a snow-white coat, and a radiant horn on its forehead. The ancient Greeks sometimes described them as one-horned asses. The unicorn has always been associated with purity and power. According to legend, it was gentle and noble, but only virgins could easily approach and touch it. The medieval image of the unicorn continued this legacy from Greek mythology, becoming a symbol of innocence and the sacred. Cerberus is a gigantic three-headed dog with a serpent's tail, a mane of snakes, and lion-like claws, born of Typhon and Echidna. Belonging to the dominion of Hades, Cerberus served as the guardian of the underworld's gates, ensuring that no soul of the dead could escape. To appease him, the ancient Greeks would often bury honey and flour cakes with the deceased as offerings. Some myths even claim that Cerberus had as many as 50 heads, though most believe that number also included the snakes that sprouted from his mane. In mythology, Hercules was tasked with capturing Cerberus alive as part of his famous 12 labors. With the aid of Persephone, the queen of the underworld and wife of Hades, Hercules succeeded in accomplishing this seemingly impossible challenge, proving his extraordinary strength and unparalleled courage. Thank you for watching until the very end of the video. If you found this content interesting, let us know in the comments what topics you'd like us to cover in future videos. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to support our channel. See you again in the next videos.